one today. It's a hero's journey with Mark.
I get to have a go.
Yes, absolutely. We interviewed few people already about their hero's journey, and now I would love to hear your story. What happened, how your life went on and brought you to the point where you are right now, when you are sharing your wisdom about the breath, about the music, about the frequencies, vibrations, everything that is so important in our life.
Well, it's a long story.
We have time.
Yeah. Well, so where do I start? Everything that we end up experiencing later in life is all sort of comes from what happens early in life. But to try and keep a long story short, I think for me, it was lacking of a solid male role model. So I hadn't really integrated my masculinity as I moved forward in life. And this has caused many different problems. One thing I found out, a couple of things, it's like school, terrible. No, it's a nightmare.
I think a lot of people have this experience.
I was dyslexic when they were barely recognising dyslexia. So it generally came out on my school reports, just didn't try hard enough. And I was terrible when there were expectations on me. I could never perform to expectations. Once I left school, I started reading like crazy.
And you still read a lot.
Yeah, I read an awful lot. And quite deep, heavy stuff, lots of philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the like. So it was something, for me, it was more about expectation. And then what my first breakthrough to really finding myself was, after leaving school, I was terrible finding work and did most of the government schemes. And then through my local youth club, I got into windsurfing. But I'd also been into skateboarding when I was a young kid. And I was kind of known as quite good because it was off the map.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Was it something that was not like a mainstream?
Yes, yeah. As long as it's not mainstream, so then there's no expectations, then I can give myself to it. And things like skateboarding, there was lots of creativity in it. But then a little bit later on, I ended up getting into windsurfing. And then I loved it and really got absorbed in it. And a long story short there, I ended up becoming a windsurfing instructor.
In Aruba?
Yeah, eventually. I ended up, I spent about 15 years working as a windsurfing instructor, and it was an amazing time. Again, no expectations, it was off the map, so I could fully immerse myself into it.
And follow the heart.
Yeah, and it was all heart, my life was heart-led, so my story with the windsurfing took me all around England, off to the Canary Islands, to Lanzarote for a while, then eventually out to the Caribbean with almost 10 years in Aruba, and loved it. Ended up running a windsurfing school, and was a very competent sailor myself as well. Always still, there was a feeling of something in the way. Then the last year of working as a within the world of windsurfing, I became the instructional editor for an American windsurfing magazine. So I've lived in the States for a year. Funny thing, being a dyslexic, so there was challenges coming. It was like life was trying to show me something. But then eventually that year, it was difficult for me to get a green card, so I was in and out of the States a lot, and there was a lot of instability. And I'd met someone a few years previously, and I decided, right, she's the one, so I'm going to settle down, and came back to England and traded in the life of a globe-trotting windsurfing instructor to become a driving instructor in Hull, England. But it made sense. I loved teaching, which, again, funny, after school, my experience at school.
Yeah, that's interesting that you being dyslexic and you having troubles with learning, now you became a teacher.
Yeah, but people were coming to learn it, so they were wanting to learn something, and I could share my passion. So it was
Exactly.
yeah. So it was wonderful. So I love teaching and I like driving. And I want to be my own boss. Put it all together, and also at this time there was something a bit odd happened with me. Was trying to be normal, kind of old expectations.
Fit in.
Yeah, kind of normal job, normal person. I had this wonderful girlfriend that I wanted to settle down with. And came back to England, set up the driving school in Hull, and slowly it all started to collapse. I kept trying to hold on to my old windsurfing days by getting into kite sports. Became a sponsored rider and a team member, which was good, but there was just always something missing. And ended up drinking an awful lot. And becoming very depressed, and everything just started to come down. And I bought a flat at the time. After 7 years of this, I'm like, okay, enough's enough. I got to get back to following. For me, it was a review of life. It's like, I'm not happy. I'm self-medicating with alcohol, smoking loads of weed as well.
Your relationship ended.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't go into another relationship. We'll get more into that. So drinking, smoking weed, trying to cling on to my old past, because massive identity crisis happened when I left this glamorous world of windsurfing to become a driving instructor in Hull. It's only one letter away from hell. No, it's a great town. It's a funky town, to say the least. So I'm like, well, yeah, when was life good? It was like when I was following my heart. What got me to where I am now in this situation? I started to give into my perception of expectations, trying to do the right thing, and it was going against my heart. I like teaching driving, and I learned an awful lot about myself and about people. It
wasn't fully.
The heart wasn't being fulfilled. My soul was being strangled. So thankfully I got to a point and I thought, right, enough's enough. Sold my flat, doubled the money, and did what any sensible person would do. Bought a van and drove it to the Sahara Desert.
It's kind of a normal thing.
So I spent about a year living in the van. About half of that year was down in Morocco and Western Sahara. And the idea was to let go of everything and get back to following my heart. That took me, and from my time with kite sports, I got into photography. Once I'd broken my collarbone, so I couldn't ride that well. And then the photography started to flourish when I was in Morocco, and I was just like, okay, let go of everything, follow my heart, follow my heart, follow my heart. Then came back from the desert. It's like, right, what am I going to do now? I've got to follow my heart. And a lack of confidence and everything. It's like, well, this photography's calling to me, but there was a lack of confidence to really do anything with it. So I thought, right, let's get educated. So, in an attempt to fix my old self. So this is my first point. I think when I made that step to drive down to the desert, it's like enough's enough. Even though I still ended up going lower and lower, just trying to find out, who am I? What am I in here? Yeah. So decided to go to college with the idea of going to university.
Wow. How old were you at the time?
I started college when I was 45.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I did a college course about digital media. It covered many things. And then from there, went off to university. ended up getting into one of the best universities in the UK, if not Europe, for photography. Didn't realise at the time that this was the place that was resonating with me. And as I got into the photography, and it started to get to a point of surrender, it's like there was something in me that was like, just let go, let what wants to come up. And my work became really dark. And I ended up getting the nickname of Dark Mark. and it was like, well, so what is all of this inside of me? And that led me to start reading people like Carl Jung. And what really resonated with me with Carl Jung is his notion of the collective unconscious. And it's like, yeah, that's touching.
Speaks to you.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff was difficult to understand, but he resonated with me. And it was, kind of going beyond it's just this physical stuff. So then after, with that, I finished my course, did really well. I think got, 2-1. But then out of university, still a bit lost. Then became a taxi driver, which was a great time for people watching.
I can imagine.
And just watching the world around me. At this point as well, I started to get into meditation. Everything started to calm down, and I could start to watch things more rather than being absorbed in it.
So you became more present.
It began, yeah. I was still all over the place at the time. And then from there, ended up losing my job driving taxis and ended up going to work in mental health, which was really surprising. I found that I worked really well with people with the worst problems, with the worst behaviours. And I attributed that a lot to my meditation. It's like, all right, I'm going to be with the person regardless. I'm just going to love you. And it worked out well. I could work really well with those people. And also for me on my self-inquiry side, I'm working with what is happening inside of me, but working with it on the exterior, working with the really stuck stuff. Then during that time, out of a strange compulsion, I ended up juice fasting. At this point, I had gained, compared to where I am now, 35 kilos more weight. From all the drinking, static life, just driving,
eating
crap,
exactly.
Junk. And that was strange. It's not like I pursued it; it sort of pulled me in. I'm like, all right, I want to go vegetarian. So I started eating vegetarian. And then there was a compulsion to start, what's it like just to drink smoothies? And then that got me to research, well, what am I doing with these smoothies? And found out about juice fasting. That started to clear me out. So I started to lose the weight. And that was a funny moment when that happened. I think that what the thing that triggered this was walking down the street one day, and I always used to be a quick walker. And I'm just sort of plodding along, dragging this 18.5 stone,
Whoa.
Big heavy guy. I watch someone walk straight past me. It's like, wow, that used to be me. It's okay. I'm like this because I'm getting old. Okay, let's go to the off license, get some more alcohol, crisps and cigarettes, and it's just age.
Yeah, it's age.
But it seems like that point, because I can remember it so much, there was something that tripped, and then led on to the juice fasting, and so continued with my work. Then did a trip to India, which was quite an eye opener. It was a special time going to Rishikesh in India. But also, one of the things that I adopted in my so along with all of this, there's all the meditation. And one of the meditation practices that I'd started to work with was this breath counting.
Oh.
it was such an easy thing to do when I was supporting people within the mental health world. Sometimes you've just got to be in the room with them. And so I would just sit there and count my breath quite often. So that was, I would say, my first real step into breath work. And it would get me very peaceful, very calm.
Very present.
Yeah, very, very present. Then a year later, I ended up had a gap. I had to leave this one job. And it's like, I want to take a bit more time off for myself. And went back, so it's like, let's do another juice fast. As I started doing the juice fast, I'd come across Wim Hof breathing. I tried it about a year before. But the other meditations that I was doing a lot of meditation to binaural beats as well, and some quite curious experiences within that. But it was like the idea of the cold showers. I like the breath, but it was a bit too much effort.
Yeah.
And the cold showers, it feels good, but it's...
maybe not, maybe later.
Well, I haven't got that kind of courage yet. But then I started doing the breath work, the Wim Hof breathing, with the fast. And it clicked. I'm like, wow, off we go here. This feels really good. And the depth of meditation had just gone, after a breathing session had gone so deep. Plus, the first year when I did the juice fast, I went for, the first time I did 28 days.
Wow.
I'm still amazed, and I still do a juice fast every year now, and when I'm out of it, it's like, I can't believe how I do it.
Yeah,
but then
we've done together, and I know what you're talking, that's why I'm just like, oh my god, 28 days, I barely do the 2 weeks.
But the first time I'd get 7 days in, the detox was so bad there'd be mucus pouring out of my nose, so I'd stop eating, so I start to eat again for 2 days. When my nose had calmed down, then go back into the juice fast. So I got to my 28 days, not in 28 days, it took me 30 something, but with all these little breaks. Second time round, I did 21 days, but with the breath work, it was a straight 21 days. No mucus was coming out. I'm like, wow. Yeah, so what's going on here? But I'd become pretty addicted to breath work to the point where I'd started to make my own Wim Hof guided ones that kind of fitted me and my style and how I wanted to play with the breath holds and everything. And I ended up doing Wim Hof breathing about for an hour every day for a few months. So I just loved it and got so much out of it, and it's just more presence, more calm coming. But then they hit a point, and I think it was a vision or something that I got in the middle of a breathing session that sort of said, Wim Hof breathing isn't for me. Huh? Okay, but I love this breath work. Let me start exploring what else is out there. Still practicing the Wim Hof then. And I came across holotropic breathing and BBTRS. So it's like, all right, let me explore these. So first off, looked on the internet, found out I could do a single group session of BBTRS down in London, and found a holotropic session down in Somerset somewhere. So signed up for those. Went and had my first BBTRS session, and in the middle of the session there was just this overwhelming feeling of I've arrived home.
Wow.
And it was like, ooh, okay. And also found out they had a training course coming up, and it's like, all right, I'll sign up for that. I'll go into that in a little bit more. Had my holotropic session, which was great, which was good. Breathed for about 2.5 hours. It was just a one-to-one session. It didn't touch me in the way that this did. There was something in there that touched me in my soul. Mm-hmm. And I think part of it was going into the room And within the atmosphere, love was tangible. And it's like, yeah, wow. With this tangible feeling of love and being seen and being heard coming into me while I'm opening myself up in every cell in the body during the breathing session, and all the encouragement for movement and physical support as well. It just soaked right into me. So, yes, I did the Holotropic. It was great, but yeah, not for me. Signed up for the BBTRS training. Never done a retreat or anything. This was tricky. I love traveling and I'm cheap. I like to go for as long as I can to make the most of a trip. As cheap as possible. And the longer you go, the cheaper it is. If you go into places like India, Morocco, poorer countries. And the price of a week's training, I could have gone to India for a month, maybe two. Mm-hmm. So this was a lot of what's going on, but there was something inside me was going, go for it. So I signed up. During this period as well, by this point I'd been single for about 20 years. Again, getting back to following my heart, and I think touching into my heart, it's like there's a bit in me that's going, we need connection again. But I was pretty scared of it. That's why it's 20 years on my own. But I started attempting to have relationships. And it ended up doing, was it Tinder?
No. It was like Harmony or...
Yeah, whatever, the online stuff. And there's a connection, and poof, they'd vanish. Oh, here's a connection, and poof, it goes. This happened about 4 times. And then when I walked through the doors in BBTRS, the very first days, I set my hope on this one.
Yeah, that's true.
And a little voice popped up and said, oh, she's the one. And I'm like, oh, bugger off, you got me into too much trouble. And then we spent the week trying to reject each other.
Yes. I agree. I rejected you as well during this week. And
yet, that first week wasn't about us at all.
No.
In fact, every time, whenever we're practicing, it's not about us.
No.
But yeah, that first week was profound, to say the least. It was such an amazing experience that you can't put into words. And even if you could put it into words, it's not kind of right, because it's different for everyone. Everyone's going through their process, what they need to go through at the time. But the big things are being heard, being seen, having support, knowing that whatever wants to come out of you is okay. And it was an amazing, profound experience. Some difficult feelings and stuff coming up, but as they broke the surface, it was incredibly blissful on the other side. And that week absolutely changed my life in many ways. I'd never been to a retreat or anything before. I had no idea of what was coming, what all of this was about. It was
pretty big.
There's 50 people.
Yes.
Yeah. Very intense.
Very, very intense. For the first workshop or retreat, you dive deep.
Yeah, and just the atmosphere in there is, so along with the breath work, there's all the exercises that we do to open us up into our vulnerability and our emotions, which is a journey back to our true nature. It's like what's stopping us from being who we really are in our essence. And it's all of the conditionings, the false beliefs, the traumatic events in life where we've started to armour ourselves up, and then the armour starts to break away and fall away. And yeah, it was absolutely amazing. which then we ended up staying in contact. Then a long story short, after 5 months on the phone,
Yeah.
5-6 months on the phone.
5 months on the phone when I went to India and we couldn't see each other, and we end up coming back to BBTRS second level.
Yeah, to do the second level. I was so excited to come and see Aisha. I planned to stay with Aisha for a day before.
And 2 days after.
And 2 days after. 2 days before the workshop, I got a text saying that it's been cancelled.
Because of the
COVID.
Yeah.
So I was, oh great.
We have a week together.
Rather than first time physically coming into our relationship together.
And going to
in the middle of a trauma workship. It's
Okay.
this would be crazy, but we'll try and do it while trying to respect everyone else. So yeah, great. Well, there's no worries about that. We can just physically be together. Stepped off the plane.
On the 14th of March, the borders were closed.
Yeah, lockdown.
Lockdown, complete lockdown.
Yeah, so, and I haven't left her side ever since.
Yes. The first plane to England was 4 months later, so you were able to travel to England 4 months after stepping out from the plane.
And while being locked down here in Poland, ended up losing my job in England, and the decisions to what to do. And for me, all the time, it got me to hold on really fast to my favourite Rumi quote. And it's like, in all difficult times, there's only ever one question to ask. And that question is, what would love do? Not fear, but what would love do? And sometimes it's not the comfortable thing.
Oh no, it's not.
In fact, I think quite often to really follow love is the uncomfortable path. And yeah, so that's got me to stay here in Poland. And then we've got deeper and deeper into the breath work. It's been an amazing journey, having someone else who is as committed as I am myself to doing the work, to looking at the darkness and to allowing it to move, allowing it to release, to inquire, to be curious when we're triggered, not to chuck blame, not to judge. And then we carried on into our training and relationship. Our relationship has been a big part of the training as well, and continually is, This is, we think, we've opened up new ground. We've got there, and it's like, no, that's just another layer done. And then something else begins to surface. It's like, okay, how are we going to work through this? And it's the work with BBTRS I found absolutely amazing. It's shifted me big time. Big things that it's done. So much more present. So much less judgmental. Wonderful things is starting, or the appearance of my childlike nature, not childish, but childlike, to be more playful, to be more free to move my body.
Yeah, talking about movement, you've lost 35 kilograms. You started with the breath and with the movement and with the exercises, with a better diet. You said that you never, recently you shared with me that you never felt and you never looked as good as right now.
Yeah, even back in the peak of my windsurfing days, just from with our morning routine and what we do and everything else, it's like my body's starting to form up into better condition than it's ever been, and that's when I was an athlete. And it's like,
so the guy who was, it's an age. It's gone. I totally see how ridiculous that was as an excuse, but it fitted at the time as an excuse. And so then, going through the training, continuing to work with other people outside of the training with breath work has been the most amazing thing in my life.
And it's after going through the process myself, still going through it, but especially in the early days when there's a lot of big stuff comes out very easily, knowing how much that helped to shift me. I've found now there's nothing that is more beautiful that I can do with my life than to hold space and witness someone else releasing and just being there for them. It's such an amazing, wonderful experience, and really going into the field of love, unconditional love, without conditions, expectations, judgments, and just being and witnessing. And there's so much that happens, so much, and it's been incredible. As my journey continues, it's just keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper into breath, and there's so much that we can do with it. Like with BBTRS, for example, we could say, and it's a therapeutic form of breath work. But then we have the functional side of breath work. We can get so blooming high with breath work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the more I explore, the more I'm finding it's like, oh wow, this is incredible. With this thing that I've been carrying around all the time.
Yeah, it's so obvious that people are not looking at it.
Yeah, but always looking somewhere else. I've had quite a bit of experience with psychedelics. I haven't had a single psychedelic experience that's been anywhere near as meaningful to me as breathwork has. They've been interested and curious and enjoyed them, but it's for any meaningful activity that I've ever done in my life, nothing comes close to breathwork. And again, it's like with all the friends, the community that we've got around breathwork, there's something so special about the people that are involved in this work. Such a wonderful place of open, loving presence. I can remember after that first week in kickoff with BBTRS, it's like, why isn't there one of these on the corner of every street? If the whole world was into this, it would be a different place. Absolutely. Because we can see each other beyond the conditioning and the crap that we pour on. So that's been my journey, and along with it, as it's developed.
That's what I wanted to ask, because there is a lot of toys around us.
Yes.
And that as well, apart from breath, it brought you to sound and vibration, and how it is important. I know from my side that when you did the amazing sound journey on me, I felt like I was on 2 weeks of holidays. And it was only an hour or an hour and a half of using different tools like gongs and Tibetan balls and shruti box and music that you are composing, plus other things.
Tuning forks.
Yes, I forgot the name.
Again, it's been, I think, work with the sound has not been something I'd pursued from my head, but it sort of come to me that there was a magnetism towards it, and slowly starting to collect more and more and more instruments. Especially after years ago, I tried to play the guitar. I could play with it, I couldn't play it. But I was always trying to copy someone.
Not following the heart.
Yeah, and because I couldn't copy other people perfectly, I didn't think I could do it. And then what happened with me with sound was playing intuitive instruments, and where you can just let go. What wants to come out of me? I love playing the handpan or the other drums first thing in the morning, and they'll help to tell me what mood I'm in. If I just relax and let my hands move how they want to, and it's like, all right, yeah, this is where we're at. But ultimately, yeah, we're all vibration.
Yeah. And if you look at the water, when the vibration comes over, it's changing its structure, it's changing its patterns on the water, and we are 70% of water. So if we are not aligned with the vibration and we are stressed, our atoms are just shaking in a different directions.
Yeah.
But if you use the beautiful sounds, you can pull it together and you just
for
center.
Me, it's like with the breath work. If life is supposed to be a beautifully flowing stream, breath work is a great way to move the big rocks out, or the logs and the things that are in the way. But then working with sound helps to fully get us in tune. Beautiful. So it's like tuning up that space that's there.
So actually now, with the breath, you're helping people to take out all these conditionings, all these big rocks, all these small rocks as well, to let them go back to their true nature. And then with the sound, you are retuning the whole.
It's bringing us back into vibration. It's what a journey. And just so much constant learning, and
because with the hero's journey we are going round and round and round. We are learning new things, and we are going and sharing other things.
So it's kind of, that's the nice thing of making that first lap around. And I think for me it was hitting that point, and I think it's there in the hero's journey where something's got to change, and then hitting that point and then beginning the journey. And often the first place that it goes, it's going to start to take you off into the shadows. Eventually we start to get through that first cave to the light on the other side, and then it's time to go around again. It's it's like layers as we work our way back. But I found it's such an amazing journey. And it's nice. Sound and breath work go together beautifully.
And you love to share it with others.
Yeah, and it's working with the sound, especially at the end of a breathing session, to help people to integrate, whether that be in person or online.
Online actually works up quite amazing as well. So it's not only in person. Of course, it's beautiful to have someone who can touch you, who can support you, but online is as good as in person. And sometimes I found that people are preferring to be in their own space because they feel more comfortable and more secure.
I love both of them. I love both. I don't think one is better than the other. I think one of the benefits of online is you're receiving it in your own space, and then you're straight into your world. When we're working in person, it's beautiful because we create a lovely bubble, and it's magnificent to be in there, but then you've got to step out of that bubble into the world, which can be a bit shocking at times. But there's so much benefit on both sides. And we've seen equal amount of massive transformation, both online and in person. So it's
absolutely agree.
And online may work for some and not for others. Some people may prefer, but again, until you've really tried it, until you've really tried to go deep into it, don't knock it. Especially, I've done it in person, and this is how it should be. Especially with BBTRS, because we're very much hands-on with body work there. But with self-body work online,
it's powerful as well.
We're still moving those muscles.
Thank you, Mark. So we will post underneath where people can find you. Of course, on our YouTube channel, but as well on Facebook, and always you can contact Mark if you are happy to try his amazing breath work or sound bath. We are in Warsaw, in Poland, so you are more than welcome to come over for an in-person training.
I mean, it's stuff like if you've tried breath work, like the conscious connected breathwork and you found it too much, come for a sound bath. It is incredibly relaxing, and we do release.
Yes.
Right? But it's much more gentle than breath work. But if you're okay with breath work, it's like, I'm up for this. Come and let me breathe you. Online or in person. We're doing some workshops around Warsaw in person. We're always working online as well. And even online, for the best part of it now, I start to do the integration at the end of a session is done with sound.
Beautiful.
As we start to own what happened, what was processed, what was there.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
Yeah,
It's been a pleasure.
and we'll pop up a picture somewhere along the way of me when I was a fatty.
Yes, please.
As you like to say, Mr. Potato Onion.
Yes, potato onion. Yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely. You need to see it.
Yeah. So what has breath work done for me ultimately? Taken away depression, given me purpose. I look forward to the future more now than I ever have done.
Reshaped your body.
Yeah, reshaped my body. Brought me a wife, an incredible wife, and opened me up to love. That I was scared of. I was really scared of it for a long time. Still, there's work to do there. Self. That was a big one. Many years I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. Can now though. Breath work. It's amazing, and again, there's so many sides to it. There's the functional side. What do you want to get? What do you want to get out of life? For me, the therapeutic side, like with BBTRS, is amazing, because what does it bring? It brings freedom. As we get away from all conditionings, traumas, lies we've told ourselves, and we start to become free again, start to become who we are. But again, it goes deep as what feels right for you. It's not one thing fits everyone. Have a look into the world of breath work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.